This is our last NPI Connect session of the year, and I would like to start by highlighting the importance of the work done during the month of November. Throughout these weeks, we conducted key activities and meetings that strengthened the contributions of our member cities and allowed us to make significant progress in the collective development of the new urban project. We are now entering 2026, the year of the World Congress. As you know, the 18th World Congress will take place in Marrakesh October 26 to 29, 2026, and its symposium will be entirely dedicated to the new urban project. The coming months will therefore be decisive in achieving the objectives set for the regeneration of historic centers through urban strategies focused on livability. Over the past year, many representatives and experts have participated in workshops, regional meetings, and collaborative spaces. A few weeks ago, the Secretariat released the summary note, which brings together all the findings and conclusions produced so far. This document serves as a common basis for the final drafting of the NPU. In today's episode, we will review the most important activities carried out during the month of November. In addition, we would like to share with you a preview of the work we are currently developing, in particular on good practices, which will play a key role on the road to Marrakesh. Next, what happened in November and December? In December, the organization held its first meeting dedicated to African cities. Sub-Saharan cities, inscribed on the World Heritage. For 2 days, representatives of 7 cities met in the form of a workshop to contribute to the elaboration and drafting of the new urban project. The organization's program focused on the regeneration of historic centers through urban strategies centered on livability. What were the main challenges discussed at this meeting? Rising oceans, rising ocean levels, and desertification. The impacts of the climate crisis on the built and built heritage and infrastructures, the management of mobility in cities, not conceived only for motor vehicles and waste management, and some health challenges, as well as the balance between tourism development and quality of life, the reconciliation between new urban needs and the preservation of authenticity. Working towards regional collaboration, with many cities expressing a desire to join the organization. Together, the participants are convinced of creating a regional collaborative framework. The Lamu Group, in order to actively contribute to the ongoing work of the new urban project. Towards the 18th OCPM World Congress to be held in Marrakesh. The OCPM warmly thanks the mayors and representatives of the Agadez cities of Nigeria, Chinguetti of Mauritania, City of Bella, Cape Verde, Harar of Ethiopia, St. Louis of Senegal, and Timbuktu of Mali for the richness and generosity of their contributions. We also thank Chifa, with whom we have this partnership, as well as the institutions and organizations that participated in this workshop. Museo del Amo, Friends of Lamu, Cultural UNESCO, the Office for East Africa, UN Habitat, the Regional Office for Africa, and the World Monuments Foundation. Finally, a word of thanks, all in particular to the city of Lamu, for receiving this exceptional and warm hospitality. this meeting. Now, I am also going to share with you about the third regional meeting and workshop Latin America towards the new urban project. On November 26, 27, and 28, the third regional meeting and workshop Latin America towards the new urban project was held in Cuenca, Ecuador. It also coincided with the anniversary of the inscription of Cuenca as a World Heritage Site, which gave a special meaning to the event. Representatives from the cities of Morelia, Puebla, Guanajuato, Mexico City, Querétaro, Havana, and Colonia del Sacramento participated in this event. In this meeting, which highlighted the professionalism and extraordinary organization of the city of Cuenca, the program began with an introductory panel, where local actors offered a valuable historical and urban context, marking the starting point for the collective, collaborative work. For 3 days, the cities worked in a workshop format through 3 working groups dedicated to the theme of housing and the residential function of historic centers. The meeting culminated with the signing of the Cuenca Charter, through which regional commitments were made to strengthen livability and urban regeneration. Within the framework of the NPU, in the coming weeks, the full report will be published, which includes the contributions of this meeting, and will be integrated into the drafting process of the new urban project. I am going to give the floor to my colleague Adriana Núñez, who will explain the next point. Hello everyone, thank you for being here. In fact, I'm going to tell you about Low VPM's encounter with sub-Saharan cities in Africa. It was the first meeting the VPM had held in Africa in a long time. It took place last week. Several African cities were there. There was Agadez, Chinguetti, Sida, Bella, Harare, St. Louis, Senegal, and Timbuktu. The cities were hosted by the wonderfully welcoming town of Lamu, Kenya, and most of the discussions focused on issues such as rising oceans, desertification, and the impact of the climate crisis on cities, patrimonial, mobility management, waste management, etc. These are common issues shared by all the city representatives who visited Lamu. Following this meeting, the Lamu groups emerged. They included some cities not yet members of the GPG who expressed their wish to join the organization and work together on the presentation, and to contribute to the new urban project to be presented at the Marrakesh Congress. So we're very happy to have had this meeting. We hope to be able to continue this type of discussion with African cities and also with the other member cities of the organization. I'll now hand over to my colleague Berenice. Adriana, can you continue with the following on best practices, please? As far as best practices are concerned, I'd like to. I can tell you that we've already talked about this. The last PAYS Connect meetings, we said that we were going to present 2 examples. This time, it'll be this week or next. The example of Luxembourg and Quebec City. These are very, very interesting best practices. As far as heritage management in the historic center is concerned, then, we'd also like to draw your attention to the fact that we're going to be asking you for your contributions to send us good practices that you consider interesting for these approaches. The idea is to integrate these best practices into the operational framework of the new urban project. To give you an idea, cities of types of design, of types of initiatives that could be carried out with certain projects. We're going to share a Google Form link in the chat room of this meeting through which you can contribute examples of good practice. And that way, it'll be easier for you and more interesting. And we'll also be able to find out what kind of best practices you're implementing on your heritage site. Yes, I'll give the floor to Veronique. Thank you, Adriana. Now I move on to the next. On another of the activities that took place in the month of November, last November 24th, the first virtual meeting of the collaborative network took place, led by the City of Quebec, as a pilot city. Under the theme, Management of Tourist Bus Transportation in Historic Centers, the cities of Dubrovnik, Istanbul, Amsterdam, Bordeaux, Bruges, and Quebec City participated, sharing openly the challenges they face in their historic centers in terms of tourism and bus traffic. Common challenges emerged, such as visitor saturation at peak hours, congestion in sensitive heritage areas, and the need for better data to manage flows. Inspiring solutions were also presented, from bus reservation systems to intermodal terminals, pedestrian zones, and measures to improve livability. On these activities that we have just presented, does anyone have any questions, any comments? Before we move on to the next part of our session, okay. I'm going to move on to the next item, which is about the activities that we will have next. Before we conclude this 10th session of NPU Connect, the second virtual meeting of the Quebec Collaborative Network, which I have just shared with you, will take place on December 18th. In this session, we will delve into the management of tourism flows. One of the most important challenges identified by the participating cities. We will also make the announcement of the Jean-Paul Alley Award. This will be at the beginning of 2026, and of course, participating cities will be asked to submit projects that have improved livability in their cities. The winning city of the award will be announced during the Marrakesh Congress, and the mayor will, of course, be a guest of honor. In addition, the Collection of Good Practices 2.0 will be launched after the Christmas vacations, and the collection will be made during the winter and spring of 12. Next year. Finally, the year 2026 will be mainly devoted to the preparation of the Congress and the Marrakesh Symposium for the adoption of the new urban project. Stay tuned for communications from the CMO, which will be announced in due course. I would now also like to take this opportunity on behalf of Secretary General Michael de Thiais and Deputy Secretary General Andrea Charest. We wish you all a happy holiday season and hope that you can all rest and come back in January. Looking forward to continue working together in the co-construction of our new urban project. Most of all, we count on you, who already have a lot of experience and knowledge to share with your colleagues around the world, your achievements around livability. Together, we will contribute to more livable and resilient cities. And above all, we count on you to join us in Marrakesh. That's all for today. You will soon receive a link to watch the episode at any time. Feel free to share it with your colleagues in your cities. I also invite you to stay tuned to our newsletters and social networks for any announcements related to these activities. I would like to remind you that you can find all the reference documents on our website, including the new urban project, the Quebec Roadmap, and the Cordoba Road. But do not hesitate to contact us. The General Secretariat is at your disposal and is here to support you in each of these activities. Thank you again, and see you soon at the next edition of NPI Connect in January, and have a happy holiday season.